define who is your actual user, who will use this product. How can we communicate with this user? How do we sell the margaritas in Bahamas to the user?
Hello everyone and welcome to the Web3 CMO Stories podcast. My name is Joeri Billast. I'm your podcast host. And today I'm excited to be joined by Jack. Hey Jack, how are you today?
Hey Joeri, and thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm doing good. Going full speed. We are building a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of new initiatives. So yeah, very good from my side.
Guys, if you're now wondering who is Jack Haldorsson, a managing partner and co-founder at Lunar Strategy, a well-known name in the space of Web3 and AI here in Lisbon. So Jack, you often talk about marketing happening in seasons instead of campaigns.
Yeah.
What does that shift change in how founders should actually think about growth from day one?
I think it's interesting because I think like a lot of people, they like to do some marketing here and there. I think marketing should always be on, and you should always have a very like strong baseline, which is your social media, your own founder account. Like this is like the baseline, but then the campaigns and stuff like announcements, and this should go in a little bit like seasons. So whenever you have a big product announcement, whenever you have a big product launch, you want to sequence your marketing and build up some nice momentum for it so you can get all of the organic traction, and then you stack and layer it with different distribution channels, like either maybe you work with influencers, PR, do some podcasts. But I think like how I like to see it is you want to have a very good baseline, and then you want to increase the baseline constantly because you start to build and you start to add more channels to it constantly. But I think when you're starting out, your socials is the most important account. It's your channel where you can speak with your investors, you speak with your users, you speak with your partners. It's essentially like a little bit investor relations. And then I see so many people, they miss with the social and they make it very boring. They don't get an audience for their posts. And like your socials is your most important channel. It's where you speak with everybody, the investors, everybody. So make that count, make that baseline very good. And then you stack the different channels on top of it, and you stack the different distribution channels, and then sequence and think like, launch season. And then you have user acquisition season. And like, there's different seasons to marketing where you do different tactics and use different channels for it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Actually, when you look at Web3 projects, where do most of them break that sequence between pre-launch, hype, and real user acquisition?
I think a lot, they do one announcement and then they're famous overnight and then forgotten the day after, and they don't have a good baseline. I think that's like the thing. You need to have something that is always good, that is always on. Right? And we see that with most of them. And this is also like a little bit of a learning curve, right? You gotta get to a good baseline. You need to get the momentum. You need to get that user base. But I think like the baseline starts with your socials and your communications on socials and what activities you have there, what sort of announcements, what campaigns you have. And you gotta have a lot of them to build momentum. And then you gotta have new stuff coming up, new ideas, new this, boom, boom, boom. And I think, most people, they do it once and then they think like, I'm going to get all of these users, right? But I think, in marketing, you gotta get a good baseline, you gotta get the comms straight, and then you add the different distributions on top of it. But here also, you gotta make sure that you have a product that's ready, a product that people like. So before investing big in marketing, I would also suggest finding product market fit. So working early stage with users to try the product, feedback, iterate, and then you scale.
Absolutely. I've been following you on Twitter X, on LinkedIn and so on.
Yeah.
I think it was there that you shared some frameworks around virality, like FOMO, exclusivity, reward loops. But what separates engineered hype from something that actually compounds long term?
Great. You gotta be a good product. And I think also like here, it's important for the marketing team to work close with the product team. So you can make a good user journey, you can get a good onboarding flow, but also you can, as the marketeers, you are at the forefront of what people want. You see the trends, you see the competition, you see that, and then get feedback to the product team. This is what you actually gotta build. This is what other people, this is what works. So I think like long term, it's great product stacked with distribution and great communication. So yeah.
And on the and of course the go-to-market is also important. How do you design a go-to-market that drives actually attention, but also real business outcomes and not just like these vanity metrics?
That's a great question, because this is like probably the most important time of any project's lifetime. But I think first of all, I always like to start with like the top line things, right? So which is like basically the why and the messaging framework. This is like why we wake up and build this product every day. This is why we do it. And then to go into the target audience. And I think most people think like, oh, we're going to target crypto, right? And then they just try to shoot in the dark, target everybody. But define who is your actual user, who will use this product. How can we communicate with this user? How do we sell the margaritas in Bahamas to the user? This will be our framework of messaging that we will start using, right? And then I think you should go into the different, so this is like the top line. We start from top. So why, audience, messaging framework, how we will communicate with these people. And then you design the different channels, tactics, and campaigns after that. And here I also did, as you mentioned, I did a video recently on these different frameworks on how to create FOMO, exclusivity, and stuff like that. There is a formula to it. Like you can, when you study a lot of these campaigns, and we use a lot of these for our marketing as well. But I think when you do a campaign or you have a big announcement or a waitlist and stuff like this, you want to first of all build a little bit of momentum, so you have some stuff going on, and then you start to tease a little bit. Then maybe you have the waitlist, maybe you had a countdown, like the waitlist is going to be open for 24, 48 hours. Everybody who's on the waitlist will get the mystery box, or like they will get the invite code to this private beta. Like you start to build up this sequence of marketing activities and posts, and you design that journey for the user. And then like that is one campaign, but going to market is many campaigns, waitlist, beta launch, product launch, all of these things, right? And they all need a separate campaign timeline, a structure and sequence. So that's how we like to do it. First, like define the top line thing, which is like the top line. And then we design each campaign as the GTM progresses.
I love to hear that you confirm, I'm working too. By the way, maybe, that's my book that I've written, The Future CMO.
Yeah. I got to read that, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, Philip Kotler, if you know in marketing, Philip Kotler, the guy who, invented or defined the 4 P's of marketing. That's the guy. He said it was the best he ever read about CMO. So a little bit aside with this conversation. But yeah, it's interesting to know that when you write something and that in conversations, people confirm it because it has input from people on the podcast, right? So I have my keynote and then I used AI to see some trends and then to make it sense of a lot.
Nice.
Yeah, now that we touched AI, Jack, and I was in a webinar not so long ago when you are, explaining about AI agents and so on. So today, we're building in a world where AI agents are really starting to handle execution. What do you think that remains uniquely human in the marketing leadership?
So we are building a lot of internal AI stuff. I think design and taste and that human touch when you're doing stuff still gonna be needed. We are using AI for most of the manual admin stuff that is repeatable, and we are automating all of that. But we still want to have this human touch because AI has made it easier to create slop and it made it easier for everybody to start creating, which is awesome. I love to see people go out there to build stuff, and it's like you get excited when you can build all of these cool things and you unlock all of these things. I see so many people build so much stuff that is useless. Of course, it's fun, but we need to get to this like productivity gain and this actually added value, and not only creating bad stuff. So we're creating a lot of automations, and then for designs, we're doing some AI, but we're also adding the human touch to it. And then same with different strategies, research, all of this we use a lot of AI for. And then for our sales team, we're also doing a lot of AI with the decks, presentations, building landing pages. This is brilliant for AI when you can build landing pages, different tools, and all of this. You can basically build it over a day. And then if you have a good like brand skill for your AI, you can also make it very aligned with the different brands. So you can ship it and it looks really, really good. So we use it for that. And yeah, because I think it's important that you don't lose that human touch. And also what I've found when you do something with AI, a lot of it boils down to not what you create with AI, but what you tell AI to remove. Because AI typically creates so much different stuff. Like they create all of these features, all of these elements on the design page. And then you just tell it, remove this, remove that, remove this, add this, put this. And then, try to make it as easy as possible for the user, but also easy for AI to create good stuff.
Yeah, I love to use indeed the LLMs like Claude and so to create the landing pages. It really helps if you understand what you want and you give it the right instructions, of course.
Yep.
And I mentioned my book already. It's important for me. I talked about it at my TEDx talk also. The trust needs to be there, because if you create slop, it's just, more of slop. But looking at, at marketers, at CMOs in general, what capabilities do you think that really become non-negotiable, let's say, the next 2-3 years?
For me, in my team and our team, like I want people to have a outcome focus and not input focus, and I think that's like a very important skill. And like people tend to focus so much on, I did all of these things, but what is the outcome, right? So I think like I like to focus a lot on that. And then I think you need to be on the trends. And I think like that is one of the most important parts, to do competitor research, checking what the trends are, because jumping on trends is probably one of the most, like the best strategies you can do for companies. Being a relentless product tester, important for CMOs. Try products, get into the brain of a user to understand like, how do I as a user of this product get onboarded here? Is this smooth? Would I use this? You try competitors, you try different things. And I would just say get to shipping, try a bunch of stuff, see what works, iterate. And it goes also for the marketing, right? Like test.
Yeah, right. Test and don't wait until you've built everything and then realize that you have a problem. Like a lot of founders still treat distribution as an afterthought.
Yeah, like get it out there. Like
get it out there, right? Now you worked across many Web3 projects. What patterns do you see in the ones that actually build great lasting communities versus those that fade after the launch?
The ones that last have a product and they treat every user very, very carefully. So like you have your users, you reply to all the comments, but also like focus on the high value users and not really the farmers, stuff like this. So I think the ones that last have a good product, they focus on users and they focus on high quality users and not vanity. And then they iterate, keep getting better, they improve, and they have this urgency of getting things out to market. And I think like this team where you have speed. I love speed. Speed is my favorite tool in business or in marketing. Like, you gotta go, it gotta happen now. It cannot happen tomorrow. It gotta happen now. You gotta go out now. And we build this momentum where we have speed and we get things out. Like, yeah, I think that's important, and being consistent as well. They show up every day.
Right, consistently. Like I did with this podcast, right? You did with your business. Showing up every day, being there, and that works. No.
Yep.
I think somewhere on the social media, you also mentioned that institutions becoming more confident while retail is less bullish. How should that shift influence marketing strategy today?
Very, very good question. I think, I was at Paris Blockchain Week a few weeks ago, and institutions, they are done with the testing, that side. They are integrating blockchain tech into their businesses. They're actually starting to use it. You see Stripe, they announced a partnership with Meta and Tempo that they're going to use stablecoins to pay out their content creators on Meta. So you start to see institutions have never been more excited and bullish. And then when institutions start to integrate it, when people start to use stablecoins and be on-chain, which I think is going to be inevitable over the next few years, then it's just a matter of time before people start to discover DeFi. They have their stablecoins and then they're like, oh, I can just put it here and I get this great APY, right? Where they start to take the stablecoins to Polymarket or to different Web3 dApps. So I think this is a very good shift that we're seeing, that it's so good institutional adoption. And then I think it's going to trickle down to retail and to that people. But for the influence marketing space, I think, capture as much market share as possible with influencers. We see Polymarket, Kalshi, they spend hundreds of thousands on creators and ambassadors every month. And capture as much market share. So when the big retail boom comes, you're going to be pole position.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with your company, you also have a lot of experience with running events and building ecosystems in Lisbon. So what role does the physical presence play in a digital first industry?
Good question. I love to do events as a marketing campaign. So you use it, you get so much content, you do some talks, you get a lot of content from that. We like to use the events as a digital marketing event as well, because you can get so much digital marketing material that people will engage with. But also the events are really good to build trust and humanize the brand a bit, because then people see like, oh, there's actual people behind this project. They're a great team. They are very competent. And also focus on high quality BD partners and stuff at this event, where you can meet partners, you can meet users, you can speak with them in real life. So events are great. Or if you are a DeFi protocol, you can have like a LP focused event. You focus more on your target audience with event, especially when you focus on institutions. It's very good as well. So we host a lot of events. We did with Base quite recently, Limitless, a lot more. We're going to do a Monad event now in June. We're going to do a Monad hackathon. So we like to do events to have it more niched on the more niched audience, but then also to use it more on the digital side as well. You use that as a marketing campaign.
Yeah, and then the human connection, and people then go to the event, they learn something, but they connect also. I was at your offices for a Web Summit side event. You mentioned that you did a lot of events. I love that, just, being around and connecting with people. Yeah. I have my own event here in Sintra, but it's not really product related. It's more like a marketing retreat, which happens to be when you make people come over from all over the world, come here to Lisbon or to Sintra, something magical happens. I know Since when actually are you here in Lisbon, and why did you choose Lisbon actually to start a company? It's a question that pops up in my mind.
Yeah, it's like I've been here now for almost 5 years, I think. Initially, I was only gonna stay for a few months, and then Tim was living here, and yeah, like then it's a lot of crypto, so it's a little bit like the crypto hub of Europe. The sun is great, the food is great, the people are great, and then we have decided to stay here. It's close to Europe. It's a lot of founders, it's a lot of startups, it's a lot of talent here. So yeah, like I think after the first 3 months, I was like, oh, this is a great place, and we decided to stay.
Yeah. And there are a lot of good events too, which I like, because people like to come over.
Yeah.
Now I have a question about AI. Yeah? If you are looking ahead, what actually does a fully integrated AI-driven growth engine book, or growth engine, I would say, look like for you? And maybe what are people or teams still underestimate about the complexity of getting there?
Yeah. It is very hard to build out all of this because you need to have all of these automations connected and stuff like that. I would love to have Shan here. Shan is our AI researcher and specialist. He's also one of the partners. He's a legend at AI. He's building out a lot of the tools internally. I would say automate research, automate all of the manual work. I think that's like the how to become more efficient, but still keep this human touch. So maybe build up a skill library for your design agent, for your copywriting. We have a humanizer, which is basically like we've downloaded so much stuff from that we have created over the last few years, and then we have made it to a skill for a humanizer. But I think like you can make it more efficient and then build automations, focus on automations instead of trying to build everything, the whole marketing team. How can you automate these processes you have here to make it more efficient? And yeah, I think most, like, you start with one small automation and then you take the next one. That's what I would suggest. Because when you think of it like, oh, I'm going to create all of this marketing team with AI, but it's small functions do you need to automate, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's very good advice. Not because people get overwhelmed with all these possibilities. Yeah. Just try, to do one thing and ship it and see how it could work and get feedback from others. Well, the time went really fast, Jack. If people, because you obviously we could talk for hours, but if people want to know more about you, they want to follow you, where would you like me to send them?
You can send it to my X account. I make a lot of content on marketing and a lot of marketing content. And then if you want to jump on a meeting, you can slide into my DMs. You can jump on a strategy session. If you're building something, we'll be happy to jump on and just chat about marketing. And yeah, I would say that would be the best, my X.
Okay. As my listeners know, Jack, there are always show notes which are linked to the blog article. So everything you mentioned or your handle will be found in there. Well, Jack, it was really a pleasure to have you on the show today.
It was a pleasure to be here. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Guys, what an amazing episode. I'm sure that you learned a lot. So be sure to share this episode with people around you, other entrepreneurs, marketers, maybe your neighbor who can benefit from this episode. If you're not yet following the show, this is a really good moment to do this. Click the subscribe button. If you haven't given me a review yet, this really goes a long way. And of course, I would love to see you back next time. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
P.S. I want to say a quick word about my main podcast sponsor, Rio. Their live wallet makes sending crypto as easy as sending email and is available on both iOS and Android.